First, let's define free will. That's something that's bandied about quite a bit. Free will is the notion that one's future is not predetermined and that one can change an outcome by making decisions based on a desired outcome. Through focused intent, you can direct yourself to the outcome you desire. I know what you two are thinking, and anyone else that's listening. This sounds a lot like one of the underlying premises of Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes. He states as much in his book, Science of Mind. Experience has taught us that the subjective tendency of this intelligent law of creative force may consciously be directed and definitely used. This is the greatest discovery of all time. There's Ernest Holmes. Let's go back a bit. Free will and medieval society. In European medieval society from around 500 AD through the 9th century, the notion of free will and personal evolution was not in vogue. The common societal perception was that you were born into a particular station in life, and there you would remain for the duration of your life. If you were born the child of a peasant or serf, tradesperson, merchant, clergy, knight, nobility, royalty, or any of the other levels of society, you and your children would remain in this set position for the remainder of your lives, without the opportunity to be anything else. Whew, gives me chills. The system of feudalism, where land ownership and loyalty were key elements, so there's their land popping in. Essentially a pyramid structure, as we see here, with the monarch holding the most power, was the predominant societal structure throughout much of the world. Guess what? It persists today. In cultures where authoritarian rule is predominant, whether that be enforced through arms, control of money and resources, or religion. Common themes are acceptance of your fate, which is predestined and unalterable. Resignation that you have no control or opportunity to change matters, and the notion that those in power offer you, here's the trade-off, protection and certainty in return for the surrender of your personal power. Oh my gosh, that does not sound like fun. We're so used to what we have. Let me give you a rather bleak example of how pervasive this thought process was. Your life had an assigned value, a monetary value. This is the medieval notion of Wehrgild, which is from Old German. The notion of one's place in medieval European society was set and unchangeable, led to the concept of Wehrgild, where each person had a specific monetary value according to their rank. This concept had a basis in ancient Germanic or perhaps Roman law, where a monetary value was established for a person's life, to be paid as a fine or as compensatory damages to the person's family if that person was killed or injured by another. You kill someone, you pay their family. It's all over. Payment of the Wehrgild was gradually replaced with capital punishment, not much of an improvement, due to Christianization. I found that very odd. Starting around the 9th century and almost entirely by the 12th century, when Wehrgild began to cease as a practice throughout the Holy Roman Empire. Pictured, that actually is the the prior slide, was a chart of the values of people of various levels of society in medieval England. A thryma is an English gold coin minted in 7th century Anglo-Saxon England. That's what the values were. Oh, there I am, Brian Bailey reading tarot cards. How about we talk about free will and tarot? I read cards, primarily tarot cards. I am the manager of the Santa Barbara Tarot Circle. We've had 50 meetings since I took over, by the way. At our meetings, we talk about the concept of free will on occasion, pretty often, actually. It comes up because the genesis of tarot cards has roots in medieval Europe. Some readers and clients still subscribe to the older notion that you consult a tarot reader to find out about your set future, which is unalterable. Some clients approach the reader with the notion that the job of the reader is to reveal this set future over which they have no control. This archaic notion is supported by how tarot readers are portrayed in modern films and other media as fortune tellers who will tell you your unchangeable future. The idea of using free will to change your future seldom has any bearing on these portrayals. Thank you, media. My experiences in my own tarot reading practice, and after having conducted 50, soon to be 51 as of Saturday, meetings with the Santa Barbara Tarot Circle since 2019, I can say that this deterministic set future viewpoint is most entirely absent in the practice of modern tarot reading. There are a few professionals who retain this viewpoint, but not very many. Who can guess who this is? It's a Professor and Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. When he's, guess what, reading some cards for her. Here are some directions I gave to members at a recent Santa Barbara Tarot meeting, the last one. I said, some clients will approach you with the idea that your job is to give them a purely predictive reading. They just want to know what the future holds for their issue. The problem with this approach is that their assumption is that they are passive and without power. The truth is that they do have power and can affect the outcome through their free will. I prefer to give them whatever tools appear in a reading to enable them to affect the best outcome possible for them. And keep two things in mind. One, the butterfly effect. You don't know what that means? I'll tell you. Stemming from chaos theory, the butterfly effect theory describes how a tiny change in one part of a system can cause a huge nonlinear effect elsewhere. Mathematician and meteorologist, Edward Norton Lawrence originally explained this theory metaphorically, and you'll probably remember this, with the flap of a butterfly's wing in one corner of the world causing a tornado elsewhere weeks later. Okay, still drawing a blank? This'll help. In Jurassic Park, the mathematician and meteorologist Edward Norton Lawrence, Jeff Goldblum, who specialized in chaos theory, explained that this theory was the underlying explanation of why Isla Nublar would quickly proceed to behave in an unpredictable fashion, and that it was an accident waiting to happen. He based his theory, and that is what happened, on this butterfly effect chaos theory premise. Number two, there is always a choice. Jean-Paul Sartre, an existentialist philosopher, said, I can always choose, but I ought to know that if I do not choose, I am still choosing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sartre's concept of radical freedom states that every choice a person makes defines them and helps them shape their being. He believed that external factors or societal expectations do not govern people, but instead the people are responsible for choosing their values, defining their purpose, and deciding how they should behave. Conclusion, the way I think, I'm sure you all are dying to know. I'm going to read a quote encapsulating my view, personal view on free will from an article I wrote that appears on my website, inspiredanswers.net, entitled, Can Tarot Predict the Future? Talking about free will. I believe that every person has the ability to change the future outcomes because of free will. But there is also destiny. Each soul has a path of evolution. These are things that need to be experienced and learned in order to evolve. You can choose not to participate in an experience or ignore a lesson, that's free will, but they will continue to appear until they are accomplished and learned. This may happen now or over many lifetimes.